All right, so if you'll just introduce yourself and your position.
My name is Dr. Corey O'Neill, and I am principal here at Durand Junior High School.
All right, and if you will just briefly describe your role as the CIP, like lead, and what you do, kind of just as a brief explanation.
Okay, I'm really, as a CIP lead person, I'm the facilitator and just making sure everybody has their role and responsibility. Try to work on it as a team and assign responsibilities of gathering the information and then putting it all together.
Okay.
And so I'm a facilitator.
Okay. So how long have you been in this role? So has it been like as long as you've been principal, and then how have you changed since you initially started in this role?
And you're not referencing, are you referencing the CIP?
Yeah.
Okay. Really, I've been in this role. This is year 16 or 17. I get mixed up. It's always been the same way. If I can be honest with you, years ago when I first started as a principal, a few years I did the CIP plan myself and just pushed it out. But as you learn better, you do better. And because it should be a team effort. It could, and honestly, this year, even though it is a team effort, it could have been more people involved. But for time's sake, because our school system actually, a lot of schools don't complete theirs until mid-October-ish. Even near the end of October, I was talking to another friend, and theirs is due near the end of October. Our plan was actually due on September 15th.
Okay.
And that's the earliest it has ever been due. And our new federal programs director, Dr. Kristen Harrell, I think she's been with us maybe 2 or 3 years. She does a fantastic job of combing through those. So the earlier the better that we can get those to her. She wants to go through those just to make sure that we're not missing anything. It's not any corrections that needs to be done. And then she will get those on our October board meeting for board approval.
Okay. So hold on, I'm writing October meeting. Okay, so how does your position as CIP lead, how does that influence student achievement?
Oh gosh, it drives it because as the instructional leader, that's your role. So I'm the driver. Let me just put it that.
All right. So how do you determine priorities across the school so that your vision and mission statement is met?
My priorities have changed a little bit. And as I spoke with my faculty back in July, I think it was when we had our first faculty meeting, I am becoming more data driven, and I know that's probably eye opening to some people, but testing is honestly, all students don't test well, but because that's how we're graded, I have to be very, very focused and on the test scores. And so this year, our push as a school, because back in June when we were looking at some information from last year with our reading scores, when our 8th graders leave us and they go over to the high school and they take their initial benchmark test at the beginning of the year, our students are behind. So we are making an all-out school-wide push, not leaving math out. We are still working with math on improving there, but we are making an all-out push to make sure that our reading scores are that they improve this year.
Okay. So is the vision and mission statement included in the CIP, or is that separate?
No, it's included, and we all of the schools will use the school systems.
Okay. So we don't have an individual.
We do it as a school system.
Is that normal?
That's come about the last 10 years.
Okay. All right. Did you receive training for this particular role, like as CIP, as an instructional leader? That's
No, I didn't. I received no formal training. You didn't. When I went through it wasn't called instructional leadership. When I took it, it was ed admin. We didn't have a class that talked about the CIP. And so I learned from my mentor. When I was assistant,
Mhm.
as much as I could from my mentor principal, and then you just gain more knowledge from the central office staff and other principals and working together on your plan. So it's been a lot of on the job training.
And I was thinking too, like, because you even said, like, now that we have like the different math and reading coaches, I feel like that makes your job a little bit easier in this aspect.
It makes it a whole lot easier, especially when we are working on those goals for our continuous improvement plan. I will let our, or I will have, I'll have our math and reading person. They will go back and look at those previous scores, and then we'll comb through that information together, and then I'll let them formulate our goals with our math and our reading people, and then we go from there. And also, we have our instructional support specialist. Her name's Karen Wright, and she's a former principal. And when I tell you, I believe she sleeps on a pillow with a pillowcase that's labeled data. Uh, she is fantastic, and she is my right hand when it comes to the plan.
Yeah. So am I saying it right when I say, is it Cognia that y'all use to
Yes,
input it? So you use Cognia, did you receive any training on that, or is that more on the job training as well? Or is it hard to get used to?
it's not hard to navigate. I was trying to think of the program that we used before Cognia, but they were very similar. So that's on the job training. Now I can tell you that our elementary principals, and I was offered the same thing. We could go over to our board office and work on your plan, as a team. But
Mhm.
who out of their building? I don't have time to be out of the building because to be in the building. So just being honest, the plan will get done when the plan is done, because I need to see about the day-to-day operations of my building first.
So you said that you work on a team. So I know that it's you and then Karen, which is the what is it? Instructional support specialist. Is that her? Okay. And then you have your reading and
My
math coaches. And then who else am I missing?
secondary curriculum coordinator, Nick Fink,
Okay.
and my counselor.
Is it just instructional on the CIP, or does it include like stuff for Mary Jane, the counselor?
You can put attendance, like you can put some in there, but we focus mainly on our reading and math.
Gotcha. So the data and research that you use to drive your plan, do you have research that you use to drive your plan? Is that something that Nick brings to y'all or the reading and math coaches?
It's what drives our plan is going to be our previous school. And I can tell you, we are working with a group this year because I don't have a math coach in place currently. We're working with a group called the Bailey Group, and they are serving as our math support team, and working with our lead person with the Bailey Group last week. We worked on setting up our target goals that will be included in the continuous improvement plan. You may hit your goals, you may not, but what we did, we went back and looked at test scores, not just from last year, but we were able to pull a couple of years before with the certain groups, and then we set a target to where we felt like we should or where we think the kids will make it to this year. So hopefully we'll make those target
And
goals.
we're mainly just using like the resources that are given to us by the state. So Freckle, anything
Yeah.
that's attached to the state testing, basically.
We're using STAR, and then under that STAR component, the freckle piece. And
Because I mean, STAR is research based, I would assume.
it is.
And does
And
does it coincide with ACAP or is it completely different?
it's very close to ACAP.
Okay. I guess I don't give the STAR test, so I don't see what it looks like.
It's supposed to correlate with ACAP pretty close, and actually the group, they are doing some more research to make sure that is the case.
Do you share this with teachers? And if so, how? And then where do they fit in the plan?
Well, and I hate to leave our science and history folks out, and science and history have really been a discussion this year because our history folks have got to help the reading, and the science have got to help the math. So in the past, they've been left out, honestly, but they will be included this year in sharing what the goals are once we finish formulating those.
And will
And
that
so,
be shared in data meetings? And
yes, that'll be shared not only in data meetings, but then I'll have Katie, my reading coach. I'll have her share that out as well.
okay. All right. How do you think your responsibility is different from the elementary and high school level as like a CIP planner?
I don't think there's any difference. The difference with our elementary versus our middle and high school, they have to include their title one piece in there. And honestly, with our school system, all of our schools really qualify as title schools, but our school system chooses to use those funds on the elementary level.
And they all have Title I coordinators, correct?
They do.
Okay. All right. How does your plan impact decision making like at the district level? So how does Dr. Martin, our superintendent, how does he fit in? How does like the district fit into this?
The district,
You touched on it a little bit.
honestly, with Dr. Martin he's a unusual superintendent. And I say that because he can look at your scores and he can break it down, especially your growth and your achievement. He can break your scores down. So he helps to help us drive the data from the district level, and then they're just there as a support if we need anything.
All right. That is all I need.
That was quick.
I told you it would be. Let me stop recording. Okay.